is the next framework called as a Spring Boot. Spring Boot is built on the top of Spring framework. It is more about convention rather configuration, and it simplifies most of the configuration we do in a Spring framework. And the main advantage of Spring Boot is it is providing with the built-in containers. We don't need to have an explicit server in our local workspace. It takes an embedded container which is coming from Maven or Gradle. There are two configuration management tools we have, Maven and Gradle. Most of the time we use Maven. Alternate tool is Gradle. So in Spring Boot we have an embedded containers to run our application. We have embedded databases which supports the backend applications with the Spring Boot. And Spring Boot reduces the lot of dependencies we need for our application. Okay, so for prerequisite for Spring Boot is definitely you must have Java 1.8 functional programming techniques, and as well as you must have a Spring knowledge, like how the Spring is working, what is IOC container, how the beans are getting manipulated by your container, how they are getting injected. So that is the prerequisite you can consider. And in this Spring Boot you are going to learn with how do we develop a Spring Boot application and how do we integrate with the Spring Data JPA. Means in the previous module, in the sprint 1, you are working with the core Java classes with integration with Data JPA to perform with the persistence, right? Now the same application will be continuing with the Spring Boot. So here 1.8 or higher version of Java you have to use, and you need an IDE tool STS to start with the Spring Boot applications. And Maven is a configuration management you have to use definitely. So already you have started with Maven, so now it will become easy for you to start with Spring Boot. So to create a Spring Boot project, okay, we have multiple options. We can create with a command line tool, we can create with a Spring Initializer, and if you are working with a Spring Tool Suite, there is a direct project you can create with the Spring file new Spring Starter project. Okay, so it will give you a Spring Boot application. So here in this PPT, actually directly they have given the steps to start with an application. Before that, I would like to also discuss with some more features of Spring Boot from other PPT. As you are all new to this Spring Boot, right? We will discuss few more topics from Spring Boot. So Spring Boot makes your application development very easy. Especially Spring Boot enables you to create a production grade ready applications. Means you can check all the features whatever you will be testing at production, you can do it during development itself. And Spring Boot creates your applications in a standalone fashion. It means you don't need to create with the server side applications, and you don't need to have too many steps to deploy your applications on a server. It looks like a very simple Java class with a main method, but you are going to run the application on a server. Just in a servlet session you have observed, like to create a server side application, how many steps are needed, how do we start a server. Okay, whenever we do some changes, you need to redeploy it. Okay, you need to restart the server. All the deployment steps are very high. So you need to perform with n number of deployment steps when you're working on a server side. But by using Spring Boot, all the deployment steps have been simplified. Okay. It saves a lot of developer time. And Spring Boot includes many other features, like you have a predefined starter projects, many starter projects, which simplifies your dependencies, libraries required for your application. And we have got a predefined templating generation of your Spring Boot projects, like Spring Initializer, Spring Command Line Interface. Okay, we have got Spring Starter projects, using which developing your Spring Boot projects is very easy. And lots many annotations you have already come across in Spring first session, like add component, add configuration, add bean, okay, add value. you have got many other annotations, right? So all those things will be same into Spring Boot as well. And here most of the time we are going to maintain with a dependency management. So in a Spring, you need to add a dependency libraries into pom.xml. But in Spring Boot, we have got with the starter projects. Starters means it is going to have a combination of jar files, so that if you can include 1 or 2 starters, your application is enough. Whereas into Spring application, you need to give a very list of, a big list of dependencies. Now that dependencies can be simplified into Spring Boot. And Spring Boot provides another feature called actuator. It means like when your application is running on a server, you wanted to check the metrics of the application, the health of the application, how it is working, okay, and what is the utilization of the threads in a server, and what is the status of your application. You can trace it when it is under execution. Such health grade features, production grade features we can observe by using actuator library. And further, Spring Boot can be integrated with your database applications and many other modules. That is the strength of Spring Boot. So to prerequisites, your tool suite is Java 1.8 and above versions. Okay. The advantages, as we discussed, it is going to simplify your application development. It is going to create with a simple Java class with a main method to run with, and it provide a built-in servers like Tomcat, Jetty and Undertow. There are predefined servers are available. You don't need to have an explicit server with you. You can check with the health grade features and metrics and security. Okay, externalized configuration, administration can be done for your applications using Spring Boot, and auto code generation here, and most of XML configuration is reduced here, and it simplifies your deployment steps. All the other modules are possible with the Spring Boot as well. Okay, and here it can integrate with Spring Data JPA, Spring Security, ORM integration can be done, Spring JDBC can be done. Okay, and we have got a tool called command line interface. Anyway, we are not going to practice this, but this is possible to generate a Spring Boot project at command line directly. And we will, as we are working with the Spring tool suite, we will not be practicing this. Okay, just if anybody is interested, we can do one example with this. And lots of plugins are available Spring Boot related, which makes your application more convention based rather configuration based. And Spring Boot is an opinionated framework, means everything is convention. Lots of dependencies, lots of code has been simplified. You will be writing very simple application which will be running on a server. So here Spring Boot is nothing but it is a combination of Spring framework added with your servers and added with your configuration, removed with the configuration. Earlier in a Spring framework, we used to have lot of configurations, right? Whenever you wanted to inject a bean, you need to write at configuration, at bean, then only you can use in a Java based configuration. If it is an XML based configuration, you need to write an XML file in which you have to configure each and every bean you are going to use for your application. But now that part is eliminated. You don't need this configuration at all. That is the main advantage of Spring Boot. Okay. Next thing is, in a Spring framework, we need a server. Without server, you cannot run it, right? As you have not done with the Spring MVC, so you have not used servers to deploy your applications. You have done only with the Spring Core, right? Directly we are going on a Spring Boot. So that is the reason we need actually an explicit server to run your application, but that is also inbuilt with your Spring Boot. Okay, embedded servers you have, so we don't need to have an explicit server here. That's another advantage. Okay, now you can understand that Spring Boot is nothing but a entire Spring framework with embedded containers and eliminated with your configuration part. That is how Spring Boot, always we call it as very simplified framework to develop the server side applications. Here the system requirements, as we are discussing the IDE, Java 8 and basic Spring knowledge. You can develop with all types of web applications. Okay, we are going to use with one new annotation called Spring application, which simplifies your application. You can use administration features. Mainly we will be configuring with .properties file, which is called application.properties file. and there is a new type of a file also supported here called YAML file, yet another markup language. So alternate to your dot properties file here. You have written jdbc.properties file, log4j.properties file, right, to add certain configuration. Similarly, for Spring Boot, to add server-side properties, we will be using this properties files. And logging is an inbuilt feature in Spring Boot. You don't need to have explicit logging here, because built-in library you are getting with Spring Boot, and it will take care of your logging facility. And Spring Boot provides a authentication module by using your built-in security. So this is all the features of Spring Boot. And then another advantage is Spring Boot is providing with UI, inbuilt UI. Means Spring Boot itself is provided with the templating engines like called Thymeleaf, okay, FreeMarker, Mustache. There are some n number of libraries are available. So you don't need to take a third-party UI framework. Let us say we are going to integrate your backend Spring Boot application with front-end Angular, React, like that. Unless until there is a specific requirement, we don't need to go with the other framework or other technology, because Spring Boot itself provides you a templating engines. I'll give you one example with any one of these templates so that you can understand like what is templating engines provided by Spring Boot. But in our application, means in your sprint implementation, we are not going to use these templates. Why? Because we need to integrate with React. Yours is React batch, right? So next module you are going to learn with the React JavaScript framework, where you will be developing front end. But Spring Boot itself is also have these templating engines to develop the UI framework. And next is, currently we are working with, this is not the current version, but we are working with 2.x version. So Spring Boot supports with Java 8 only 2 and above versions. Now to develop with the Spring Boot application, first we will be developing by using Spring Initializer. So here is, we can make use of Spring Boot CLI by downloading this software, and then we can start with the Spring Boot CLI to generate a Spring Boot project at command line. But that is not preferable, because to develop with all the modules into the application, this will not be supporting. And if you are working with Spring Tools Suite, you can directly create a Spring Starter project. First, I am going to show you to generate a Spring Boot project, okay, by using Spring Initializer. So what is Spring Initializer? Start.spring.io. All of you can make a note. So start.spring.io is a templating generation of your Spring Boot project, where it can give you a predefined configuration needed, and you can auto generate the application template. I'll show you two types of Spring Boot project creations. One is, this is called Spring Initializer, and the other one is, we can create with a simple Maven project and we can make it into Spring Boot application. So using Spring Initializer, a default configuration like language, project type, version of Spring Boot we are working with 2.3.5, okay, and the project group ID we will give com.cg, and artifact name is Spring Boot app 1. You can give your own name, whatever is required, and here dependencies you need to select. To create with a Spring Boot project, here we need to add the dependencies. At least one first project we need dependency we need is called Spring Web. This is called Spring Boot Starter Web. So if this is there, only we can run our application on a server. There are lots many other dependencies. Let's say you are going to work with data JPA, then Spring Boot Starter Data you need to add. Likewise, we have a number of starters. You need to select it and come down, okay. Here you will be having a button called generate, right? Generate, you click this, it is going to create a Spring Boot application for you and it will be downloaded. So now our application is ready with the Spring Boot application. It is created. Now once it is created, you just extract this So an application is extracted. See here, there's a package created here, src main java. Okay, this is created for, here you can see md java com. I think we need to extract with the Spring Boot app 1. Because I have already downloaded with the same name, so it is giving the different one. Let me generate another project. I'll make it CG Spring Boot app 1. Right? I'm going to take the same dependency, Spring Boot web, and then generate. Now it is going to create a CG Spring Boot app 1. So let's go to the downloads. We have got CG Spring Boot app 1. Extract it so that you will get it got extracted. See here, app is created for you directly. Now you can import into your workspace, right? This is the first way of creating a Spring Boot project. Now let me go to the workspace and let us deploy this. Guys, observe carefully. File, import, existing Maven projects. As we have already created by using Spring Initializer, let us import the same project. So our project name is CG Spring Boot app. It's already created. So we are just downloading that and it got created here. It is just updating with the Maven projects. By the time it creates it, I will show you the second way of creating Spring Boot project. Okay, so nothing but by using a simple Maven project. File, new, other, go to Maven, create a Maven project. Next. So when we create a Maven project, simply we are going to take a quick start com.cg, and then here artifact name is CG Spring Boot app 2. I'm going to create with a one more Spring Boot project, that is Spring Boot app 2. That's all, creating a normal Maven project. Then how do we convert that into a Spring Boot application? So to make any project with a Spring Boot application, you just need to do some changes with your form.xml. So here you will say dependency. The dependency name is going to be, we just copy that dependency, that is Spring Boot starter web. This is one dependency we need, and one more is parent project. So parent is a project for every Spring Boot application. It is going to acquire the properties from your Spring Boot project. This is the latest version we are going to use. It is going to acquire all the features of your Spring framework with a single dependency. Second is, one more dependency we need is Spring Boot starter web. If you are going to work on JUnit test cases, right, then you need a dependencies, JUnit dependencies. So you can copy that. As a very first example, we are not going to work with any of the JUnit test cases. At least you need to start with Spring Boot starter web, right? So the older version is coming with a Maven project. You can just remove it because we are going to work with a JUnit 5, right? You can remove this and then save it and update both the projects. So we created a simple Maven project and we are going to make it as a Spring Boot project. Or else you just go to Spring Initializer, that is start.spring.io, generate a Spring Boot project and import into your workspace. Either way you can work with. But when you create with a normal Maven project, you need to update with Spring Boot starter web dependency. This is called as a starter dependency, and one more is Spring Boot starter parent. These two are mandatory for your Spring Boot project, right? The same thing is discussed in the PPT as well. So if you can look into here, when the way we create the Spring Boot application by using a simple Maven project, and the other one is Spring Initializer. Okay, first one we were doing, and the third one we are doing. When you are working with the Spring Tool Suite, directly you will have an option called File New Spring Starter Project. That is also you can do. Next is Spring Boot CLI. These two I will show in the next session. But everywhere the coding part is same. Now the Spring Boot annotations means whenever we work with the Spring Boot application, so far you are using into Spring like @configuration, @bean, @id, @component, those annotations, right? Now when we are working with the server side applications, we are going to use with a new annotation called REST controller. What exactly is this REST controller? So we were going to discuss in detail with the Spring REST API, that is in tomorrow's session. Today you just understand that to get a request from the client to the server, at the server side to receive that request, we need this controller. Okay, that is the reason we are going to use with a REST controller. Create a class, annotate it with a REST controller, it is going to receive a request. And next is, in a REST controller, whenever we give, there should be a URL should be provided, so that the client can call your controller using this URL. Okay, that is called URL mapping. We will give by using request mapping annotation. And second is, for every Spring Boot application, whenever you create, you will be getting a default class called Spring Boot application. So what exactly this application? This is itself is called as a bootstrap application, which starts your project. It's a simple Java class. Okay, it internally starts your Spring Boot server, okay, your embedded Tomcat server, and it will deploy the application. That is the purpose and the role of this application. This is a bootstrap application. It is used to start your application. It is used to start and run your application on a server. That is the role. Let us look into the example for the same application. So here, very first application we created with Spring Boot Starter, where pom.xml is updated. Now if you go to the src main Java, you will find the same application, what we are looking into the PPT. See here, the same what we are discussing here. This is a file is getting created. So what is the purpose of this file is, this file itself is going to start your, okay, start your project on a server. How it will start, we are going to see now. Next, there is src main resources folder in which you will get application.properties are by default. Okay, what is the purpose of this application.properties? There is one property, at least minimum property we need to add, on which server the application should run. So that is, you have to say the property called server.port equal to on which server it has to run. Let's say default, if you don't say, it is going to run on a 8080, but if 8080 is occupied in your system with Oracle or any other services, it will simply say that server is already occupied. So that's the reason you go for other than 8080. So I am just giving 8082. So you just save this file. Once you update, always save this file. Then you go here, you just run your application. As it is a simple Java file, right? It's having a simple public static void main. You just will say right click, run as Java application. If you don't have this Spring Boot application, then you need to have too many steps to start the server, deploy it, check the server is on or not, all that stuff. But here, by running a simple Java class, you are going to run your project, entire project on a server. That is how the Spring Boot is reducing your deployment steps, making your deployment easy, right? Running a simple Java class is easy, right? Rather configuring server, opening the server, starting the server, whenever you do changes, again restart the server. Okay, so all the deployment steps are taken care by your Spring Boot. That is how the developer job is simplified, and the lot of configuration is reduced. There is no XML file, there is no configuration file. If you can look into the previous Spring files, you can see here you have got a configuration file. We need to write this configuration, we need to write configuration bean, all this stuff you need to do, but all that has been eliminated now. We don't need all that stuff, just we will have only this class. Okay, and in this class you are going to use with one annotation called @Spring Boot application. The class should be annotated like this. If not, it cannot run on a server. Okay, and to start your application, your project, this entire project on a server, okay, you have to say there is a class called Spring application. This is coming from your Spring Boot framework to start and run your project. Run is a method. You need to give your current class name dot class comma args is a command where you are going to run your project. Next, in a Spring Boot project, you will not be having with simple this Java class. Further, you will have controller, services, DAOs, okay, all that combination of all that layered architecture we will develop. But to start your project, this is the entry point. This is the entry of your application. This is the entry, and this is going to run your project on a server. That's the importance of this file. Earlier in the previous versions, this @Spring Boot application annotation was used with 3 more annotations. That is @configuration. Okay. Next, instead of using these 3 annotations, we are using now only one. @configuration, @enable auto configuration, then @component scan. By replacing these 3 annotations with only one annotation called Spring Boot application, right? That is one of the simplification. We have got it. Now, how do we run this application? Let us check now. I'm just saving it. Right click, run as Java application. Simply, we are running as a Java application. Now, your Spring Boot server is started. Embedded container is there, Tomcat. We don't have any Tomcat here, right? You can check the build path also. There is no Tomcat here. But embedded Tomcat is going to start your application. And you can see it is started on 8082 port. It started. Now if you go here and check, you can see localhost 8082. But as we have not created anything in our project, we can't see anything. So how do we display something on our server, right? How do we display? In the same class also you can write a controller, or else we can write a separate class. I will show you 2 ways. One is the same class I can say @REST controller. Usually we will not combine like this. We have to write them separately, but we can do that. Okay. And I write get mapping annotation. Simply I am giving a URL called welcome. Return type is string. My function is welcome. Say welcome. This is what I have written called get mapping welcome is a URL. This is to call the this is called as URL to be given to client to invoke your program. Okay. Now get mapping needs to be imported. It's another annotation. Now I have created my URL and I am reporting with some message. Okay. Let me stop my server and start again. Don't keep server started and start again. It will say it is occupied already, the server port is already busy, it will say. Always you should stop whenever you are not using. Again the server is started. Now let us go here and check our URL called welcome. Now it will say welcome to Spring Boot programming. Means now your application is running on server. See, with how simple steps we are able to create our Spring Boot project without taking any server here. Okay, only just by making use of your Spring Boot starters, that is Spring Boot starter web. Okay, we are making use of embedded container. The embedded container is your Tomcat and you are going to run with. In further, instead of using Tomcat, we also have called Netty server and we have called Undertow server. We can also make use of it. Default is Tomcat. Clear? Default and the most popular is Tomcat we'll be using with. If you wanted to go with another server based on your client specifications, we have to exclude Tomcat here and we have to include the other server, either Netty or the Undertow. Okay. So that is about Spring Boot very first application. Okay. So this is the application what we created with by using Spring Initializer we are deploying it. Coming to the second application, this we created with a simple Maven project. Just we have added with the parent and we have added with the Spring Boot starter web. This is done. Now this is running on 8082, right? Let it run. Now we will go to the main class. Here, as we have created as a simple Maven application, it will not give you the Bootstrap application. We need to make it. Okay. So let us make it as a Spring Boot application. So I have to write Spring Boot application. We will not get the template code here. We have to do everything manually. So Spring Boot application, and here you should say instead of hello world, Spring application dot run off. Okay, you need to give your class name app.class. And args. Okay, and you import this Spring Boot application. This is done. Now in this project we will write a controller separately. I will say a controller class separately, EMP controller. According to your sprint requirements, you need to write a hospital controller, ambulance controller. Okay, you need to write with. And here we make it as REST controller. And then you need to write a method public void get EMP details is a method. Okay. Now within this EMP details, simply you will say that just you are saying just it is going to be displayed. Okay. How do we access it? Definitely it must have a, here you can give a request mapping also. URL get EMP details is a URL. So for every request on a server there should be a URL provided, right? So now let us import with request mapping. If it is a request mapping, you need to give value equal to like this. Here the return type should be string, as we are returning a string. Whatever string we return here, it will be displayed on the browser. Okay, client will be calling with this URL. It has to respond. Now, how do we run this application? We need to write a application.resources file. So where do we write it? src main. You can create a resources folder, new folder called resources, and in which you create a file called application.properties file, within which you have to say server.port equal to, that was running on 8083, this we will do, it is running, we will make it as 8083. Done. You have got created your own Spring Boot application, you have got a controller, and you created with a properties file, and you have done with the dependencies required. So your second Spring Boot project is also ready. You just need to run this file. Okay, right click, run as Java application. So once again your Spring Boot starts. It is taking Spring Boot app 2. Here also an embedded container. This app is running on 8083. Now let's go here and check with the second Spring Boot project. Localhost 8083. Now you need to give with, suppose if you don't give any URL, what it will say? Simply white page. We need to give the URL which is configured. What is the URL? Get EMP details. Right? Now it says the expected result. So this is a client request and the server is going to respond with your Spring Boot application. So server has to respond means further layers you need to create, right? Just we are testing it by whether it is deploying on the server or not. But further, what is our role? Now you need to think about the backend application. What exactly we have to implement. Now we will connect this application through this controller to the service layer. Then service will connect to your DAO. DAO will does all the backend logics. Then provide the response back to the controller. Controller will respond the values by showing in the browser instead of at the console. This is how we are going to make our server side Java development using Spring Boot. Hope everybody is following what is the importance of Spring Boot application and how it is simplified with the basic Spring applications. Yes. Yeah, sure. I will be explaining you. Spring Boot applications, another important role is Spring Boot starters. So Spring Boot starter is say projects which are need to be included for your Spring Boot applications, which includes a combination of dependencies. It's a collection of libraries. For example, if you take a Spring Boot starter parent, it is going to combine you the basic features of a Spring framework like Spring Web MVC, Spring Core, Spring Context. All those are inherited from your parent starter class. Next is we also have Spring Boot starter web. This is mandatory for every Spring Boot application. Whenever you wanted to make your application to be deployed on embedded container, we need to make use of Spring Boot starter web, which includes all the embedded containers like Tomcat, Jetty, and as well as Undertow. And when you wanted to integrate with the JPA framework for your Spring Boot application, then you need an additional starter dependencies called Spring Boot Starter JPA. So like when we are working with JPA, we need a number of jar files. All that jar files are included with one single starter here. And similarly, Spring Boot Starter JDBC, Spring Boot Starter Test. If you add just a starter test, it is going to pull out all your JUnit related dependencies. It may be 3 dependencies, it may be 4 dependencies. Spring Boot Starter Core, which includes all the core features of Spring. When you are working with messaging services like publish and subscribe mode, there is in future you will be coming across. So when you are working with the messaging services, you will be working on Starter ActiveMQ. And when you are working with aspect oriented programming, that includes as part of your Starter AOP. And when you are performing with batch operations, there are certain operations need to be performed as a batch in the backend. Okay, whenever you are working on that batch operations, you need a Spring Boot Starter batch. And you need a cache support for your applications. Whatever data you are getting it from response headers from the server, you wanted to provide with a cache support, then you go with a starter cache. And further, if your application is getting integrated with the Spring Cloud modules, then you go with a Spring Starter Cloud connectors. And let us say you have worked with a database called Postgres, right? Similarly, you are working with a different database, okay, Cassandra or MongoDB, then you need that specific database related starters. So this is the type of starters you will be working with. So this starters is also making your Spring Boot configurations reduced a lot. Otherwise, you need to write a very big pom.xml file with lots many dependencies. Because of these starters, our configuration reduced a lot. And further, you must be also understanding about the importance of Spring application class and at Spring Boot application annotation. So first, the Spring application is a class which provides you a convenient way to bootstrap your project. Means to start your project, to deploy your project on a server. Instead of making your project to run on server and all that steps, okay, you just say that in your simple Java class Spring application.run. This is going to start your entire project to load all your components onto the server. To enable your REST controllers, further services, DAOs, entities, all those components are going to be deployed on a server environment. That is the role of your Spring application class. The same class we are going to use into our application. Okay. So far just we are deploying this application with simple employee controller. But further there may be lots many other components we are going to use with. All those components are going to be deployed on a server. And then is how do you customize your Spring application? You can also customize like let's say you wanted to make your Spring application by provided with a class name to be executed with, and the Spring Boot there is a banner displayed every time. You wanted to make that banner off. So such properties you can add with. Programmatically you can do, that is set banner mode is banner.mode of off, and then you can run it. What is this banner is nothing but whenever we are running with, we are getting every time there is a banner for a Spring Boot application. So you wanted to make this banner off. Okay, it's a simple feature. If you don't want it to display that, you can set it off. Even programmatically in application.yaml file also you can make it off. Finally, the goal of Spring Boot projects are to avoid your XML configurations, minimize your configuration, and even annotation based configuration also, like at configuration, at bean, all those at component have been eliminated from your Spring Boot applications. Okay, to avoid writing a lot of imports, like if you can open your Spring application, you can observe with how many number of imports we are going to use with. Whereas here in Spring Boot, you can reduce that part of imports as well. And you can start your application with very quick start way with deployment time can be reduced a lot. And it is mainly targeted to opinionated development approach rather configuration based. It's more about convention rather configuration. There are certain limitations, like you cannot customize your logging features, okay, as it is providing with the predefined log support. And there are certain limitations for Java server pages as a concept, which is a web component at the server side. So that may not be supported by your Spring Boot to display, especially with error pages. That's all about the Spring Boot introduction part. The same thing is also covered in our PPT, like how do we create with a simple Spring Boot Maven project and Spring Boot initializer project, how do we set and the structure of the project. It is very similar what we are practicing so far. You need to add with first step is Spring Boot starter parent, second is you need to add with the Spring Boot starter web. Based on our requirement and our complexity of the application, further we will continue with more number of dependencies. And this is the application which is used mainly to start your Spring Boot application. And whenever you start, you can look into your console, and then once it is started, you can open that port number and you can test with. And what exactly a controller file, and how do we write a controller class with a request mapping URL, and then we can check for the response. So this is how we are working with the Spring Boot. And whenever you are starting with a Spring Boot, how internally it works, you can just look into this slide number 17. whenever your context loads, all your configuration part initializes and your annotations are getting scanned through your application by using component scan. It will look for all the annotations like at Spring Boot application. This is a newly replacement for the existing three components, three configuration, enable auto configuration and at component scan. Instead of using with all these things, we will be using with only one Spring Boot application. That is how most of the annotations are replaced into Spring Boot. And at a component scan, okay, we are going to use with at service, at repository, at component in a Spring Boot applications. Okay, all your service classes should be annotated now with at service. Like you created in a Sprint 1 service classes, right? It should be annotated with at service. And DAOs should be annotated with at repository. And all these repositories, services, controllers, everything is read through your at Spring Boot application annotation. And how do we generate a Spring Boot project with Spring Initializer? Already we have done this. Start.spring.io. Give the group ID and then artifact name and then choose the dependencies required, generate the project and import into your workspace. We also have a Spring Boot command line interface. We need to download this. Once we download, I will show you the steps for this. But the thing is, it is not suitable for complex applications. So always we go with the previous step called Spring Initializer. So like it is more about like a container-less deployment, right? Means we are not going to use any local server to deploy it. We are taking an embedded server which is coming from Maven. That's a very much convenient for the developer. And you can run your application as a simple Java program. Okay. There is no additional deployment steps are needed. And we create our file and then we deploy on a server and we are able to run on a server. That's an advantage. And always we use HTTP protocols to run your application with the client server environment. We are done with a basic example. Okay. Like how do we create it, how do we deploy it, and how do we test it. With one simple controller, once you write the controller as part of your same class and write it as a separately, and then you need to practice it. And I'll